Hi. So I am back. I took a couple weeks off of study to go actually play live. I drove down the west coast of United States, played in Portland at the Meadows, which is a really nice poker club. Played at a place called Wind River in Reading, which was quite fun. It was 7 or 8 tables, only two of which were running, but people there were quite nice and lots of action. Played at a resort called Gladestone, I think, in Napa Valley. That was very good. Nice big Vegas style casino. Big room, very busy, tons of action, lots of people, good games. And we played at a place called Marina Poker Club, I think, that was in Marina Del Rey, I believe. And it was very different, small, old school poker room, two tables, only one of which is running, limit only, spread limit to 6 spread, which was new. I'd never played spread limit before. um, it's fun enough, interesting. It was Super Bowl day, so a bunch of drunk people. Most of the action in the room seemed to be something like backgammon, or no, backgammon, blackjack, and I don't know what else they were playing. I didn't even look at the other table games. Um, but nice again, nice people. I mean, people are just nice everywhere. Poker people are all nice. And that room was funny because the floor and the dealers would have to come and play to keep the table going, which they did until my buddy and I got tired, and then they broke the table because we were, I guess, the only guests. And then we played the Commerce, which was insane. It was a massive room. It's like playing the WSOP in one of those huge rooms at the um, Horseshoe or Paris. Is it at Paris? Anyway, in between those two. Um, Kind of didn't love the Commerce as much. 2-3 limits or 2-3 no limit, but 40 big blind buy-in only max, which is weird. So Sports Sack, I guess, created sort of a little bit of action, but yeah, to play deeper, you had to play 510, which is beyond my bankroll at this point. But it was good. Poker trip. Gotta love them. Would love to do the interior of the country next. Maybe go eastward through the Midwest. Um, we're doing that in the spring, maybe. So today I played yesterday and today. Yesterday was a pretty good session. Today was a small loss. I had a huge blunder, which I'm not sure if I included that in here, but I should. And I decided to hand select a little bit more now. So instead of just playing all post flop or reviewing all post flop spots that get beyond C bets, um, I chose just spots that felt interesting and worth talking about. Some of them aren't terribly interesting. Some of them are like, is this a river bet? Is this too thin of a bluff? That kind of stuff. So I think I can go through this as usual. This is not intended to be a lesson. This is a kind of a record of my study and my focus and how I work and keeping myself honest by posting it. Appreciating that there's a few people out there who, for whatever reason, seem to think this is interesting to watch. I'm getting some notes, which is really helpful. And it's very nice of anybody to take the time and give me feedback, giving a learning player a feedback that is always very appreciated. Um, Intention wise, the usual intentions, trying to be conscious of world favorability, knowing when we can loosen up our bluffing requirements, knowing when we aren't, we need to be a lot more selective, uh, being nut versus range aware and or range aware, which is going to determine our sizing. We're nutted, we can be betting bigger, and our range, not range aware, range advantage and nut advantage. Having nut advantage allows us to have a bigger size, and having range advantage allows us to bet more frequently. And then also trying to include some other CPS stuff I've been learning, which is some specific exploitable play in, say, check, 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 turn probe. So check, check flop. Say we're pre-flop caller, and then pre-flop raiser checks to us in position, and we're out of position. So a turn probe strategy on particular boards favorable to us when we can do some stabs there. A delayed c-bet strategy, turn or river probe strategies. What was the one I learned today? Kind of it was more of betting with air at the flop. No, on the turn, betting air on the turn. So double c-bet, second barrel, two barrel. That's it. Two barrel in position, c-bet with air, and knowing when can be done again based on world favorability, that sort of stuff. So obviously trying to not have a clouded head while playing, but also trying to implement some of the things we're learning to get better at them. Not really big on drilling against the sims, just because I don't know. It just seems more committed and more focused to be doing it in the real life. And then to do this, come back and review. So first hand is this ace-2 open. We're suited. We'll 3-bet here and ISO the cutoff, which we succeed in doing. We hit a pair of twos on an otherwise, let's say, somewhat unfavorable board to us. I think with hearts, we certainly will bet here. We wouldn't have a pair of twos with hearts, but say it was a ace-6 hearts. If it was even ace-2, say ace-jack off with a heart, ace-9, I don't think I don't believe I would ISO, I would 3-bet that hand. But otherwise, I don't think we have a ton of tunes in our range. We don't have I guess we would have our sets. Like I'm not calling against a cutoff, so 2 6s and 10s are all in this 3-bet range. 10 6s, 6 2s, 10 2s are not in anybody's range, I would say, especially in 18 VPIP. So we can discount all the 2 pairs, and ace 10, king 10 suited would be 3 bets on the button. Jack 10 suited, queen 10 suited. So yeah, we've got a significant number of 10s. They also have most of those too. So I'm going to say our nut advantage is shared, and I don't think we have a significant range advantage. I think it's probably close to shared as well. We have all the overpairs up to, say, jacks or queens and up. We have ace kings, we have ace queens. Yeah, so I think that kind of does it. So having said all of that, we do have some showdown value with a pair of twos, and I think we just let it go at this point when it's checked to us, and we see if they bet. When they don't bet, at some point here, I wonder whether we want to protect the twos or whether we want to turn into a bit of a bluff to get bigger pairs to fold, possibly like 4s, 5s, 7s maybe, 8s. Protection from overcards. We do have the best one. I think here probably we could use a bet. So we didn't do, and then the ace comes, and now for sure we'll bet a 2-pair hand. Granted 5-4 is in, but 5-4 was in on the turn, and they didn't bet once we checked again. So I think now we can get paid from a lot of pairs and lots of aces, assuming they haven't bet those or lead out with those, or wouldn't lead out with those. So we bet and they fold. So let's just look and see. These 2 suited here. So there is no bets using this combo on the turn. There is definitely bets on the flop though, and a slightly better bet. I'm curious to look at this and see what our range looks like here. Doop. Strategy on the flop. Check. Just found this recently, which is kind of nice. I wish that it was bigger though. So you can't. Oh yeah, you can do this. So yeah, so their range is ahead actually. So we aren't sharing a range advantage. They actually have a better range than ours. We have a slight not advantage, or not advantage, but a slight value advantage, kind of in the whatever it is here, 70 to 90% value range, and then they're more nutted than we are. With what would they be nutted with? Sets of twos. We don't have twos. Yeah, sets of twos. It looks like twos, tens. We have tens as well, but they have the twos. So right. So GTO Wizard does not include twos as a hand to raise here. I probably would, which would give me more nut advantage. So having said that, we have they have a 54% equity over us. So I don't see us putting a lot of small bets in, but the machine does give us a good portion of big bets with mostly the overpairs, some top pairs, and let's see, got pieces of these overpairs, some of the overcards, and then ace two, spade. And it's using some overbets, but not overbets, sorry, B75. There's no overbets. It's all these B50s though, hey? Over pairs, top pairs, a bunch of ace highs. Right, mixed strategy. I wonder, I would probably look to simplify here and just stick to the B50. Seems probably like the smarter thing to do. So why, the question would be 31%. I guess it's not a ton of betting, but if you comboed all of these together, we're betting with almost half our range and then checking with the other half. And if you simplified this, I would imagine, would it still be the same amount of bets? Maybe the bets would go up a little bit. No, they probably go down a bit. So their equity is a little stronger than ours. Anyway, on the turn, this guy picks up a lot of strength with that 3 and our check. So the fact that they don't bet at all, again, now probably polarizes us in a serious way. Yeah. 125 and 50, some small bets. Same sort of shape of curve. Same equity advantage. Same nut advantage even. Again, ace 10. Those twos that we in theory might have. And then on the river ace, they check again. And we do bet ace 2, I'm imagining F for sure, by the way. And the size is going to be polar, which is what we did. We went half pot, so we certainly could go bigger bet. We should probably go bigger bet there. Half pot bet. See, I was betting with a lot of bluffs with half pot bets, so I kind of grooved into my head this B50, but need to start removing that from my toolkit, shall we say. So generally, I think that's a good hand, and let's say good hand. King 2 will defend up pair. They bet 3/4 pot. They have an advantage over us on this board generally. We just happen to hit with a top pair. So I think for now we're going to just call. I don't think there's any other play there. It'll be interesting to see. Then we hit a turn. Now I think we could certainly raise. They're still betting over B75. So if it was a small bet, we definitely raise, but this size bet, I decided I would just call. They still have lots of bigger kings than us. They have a house that we don't have. So even though our hand is quite strong, we don't have nutted hands here. We don't have kings, we don't have quads, we don't have queens, house. The only house we could rep would be fives. So I think in this particular case, we just have to keep calling and allowing them to bet with all kinds of other hands. We check and they bet again for now half pot. So this was kind of the reason I put this into my review is, do we have a raise here? Versus the half pot bet. I decided no, I decided to just call. And I want to know whether this is a good play or not. And if not, why? And then if, what are we doing here? And then just look at a few of the other hands to review with there. So it's 100% call. There's never a raise. Huge EV loss if we raise anything. Even almost a full blind's worth of loss. But the river does have leads. A bunch of different leads in terms of EV, but in terms of frequency, the solver's not using any of them. Obviously, lots of EV difference between leads and a check. Same on the turn. There's no raise at all. Tons of better EV and just calling. So the way the play was right. And let's see where we start raising with kings. On the turn. Turn, river. Here. King comes. It's all falls. We don't have any raises at all. We were the big blind. This is because they're the polar range, and we are the condensed range. And then same here on the river when they bet half pot. We do have some raises, obviously a house, 2 houses, a tiny sliver of raises across the other kings. Tiny bit for whatever reason, hearts versus, did flush come in? What the fuck? Nope. Interesting. Why would the EV of King 2 clubs, what am I missing here? EV of King 2 of clubs is 2.43, whereas King 2 of hearts is 21.51. And there's no flush. 6 club, King spade. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever that the EV would be that drastically different between those two combos. Same with something is inky there. King 8 clubs. That must be something in the... What in the fuck is going on? It's the same in these offsuit combos as well. There's almost 10 blind difference between... Super weird. I don't get that at all. That must be... I'm gonna actually post this. Something I must be missing there. Keep that as a review. Otherwise, good hand. And we're seeing we're not actually raising any kings at all except for the houses. So we're good. And mostly because we are just not that. They're the polar range. We're the condensed range. It's our job to just call except for the very, very, very tippy top of our range. Is 8-5 is the bluff. Looks like it. 7-5. Where else are the bluffs here? We do raise. I don't know. This solve seems really funky. I have to figure out why that is. Okay. Next hand. Open ace-5. Get called. Three-way. I've been thinking I'm going to do a three-way, multi-way session where I have some solves I have in Rocket Solver that I ran over the last 6 months or so. That a bunch of multi-way solves. I have pretty sure I have exactly this board, so it'll be interesting to see how the solver suggests playing and see how divergent we get. We check and then we call. I sort of feel like we have to defend some portion of our range. Ace-5 has backdoors. For sure, a large bet into two people shows a ton of strength. We're looking to suck out on them, basically, with two backdoors, either the straight or the flush. And they most likely have a queen, probably. King, queen, something like that. Queen, jack. This, I think I can peel one. I don't know. I mean, this is a multi-way question. Let's just do something here. We'll configure our tags. We'll call, add one called multi-way, and make it look like something. Like a little beer stein. We're going to have to just look at that later as a multi-way question. I decide to float one bet, even though the size is quite big. And if we pick up some equity on the turn, we can decide then. This 7 potentially is good for us. In my mind, the calling hand is going to have more 7s, but we were the pre-flop aggressor, so what 7s do we have? 7-8. King 7, ace 7. That's it. So can we rep a 7? Can we check raise on the 7? Probably not. I think that's what I end up doing. And the story just doesn't play. So we check. Oh no, that's right, they checked. So now I think we rep the 7 by putting in a polar bet. And that's fine. And we can also rep a 9. We can rep a set of 9s. We can rep lots of good stuff here. Doesn't necessarily mean that they are... Well, you know, like I initially said, I think they probably have a strong ace because of the size of their bet into two people. So our bet here has to pressure that ace for a fold. And will a 3/4 size pot bet, or B75, it looks like almost. Maybe just yeah, almost pot. It looks like it's actually pot. Somehow the pot got raked, I think. is that going to be enough? Should we be overbetting? I think this, if we're going to do this, we have to overbet and B150, B200, something like that. There's no way I think a top pair is folding here to just a pot size bet. That's probably the mistake because they don't, and they show ace queen as thought. So yeah, this is not a good hand. So let's call this an inaccuracy. And if we are bluffing river after a big B75 flop bet into two people, most likely queen X, we need to size much bigger to pressure that combo. Also, can we rep 7x, ace 7, king 7, 7, 8, 7, 6. They have all of those likely, plus, oh, and then we have 7s as well. What other 7s do they have? 9, 7. Actually, no, I'm going to say they have none now. None because they checked. Turn. No 7, except queen 7, maybe, is second turn. Also, no 7. X is likely betting flop. 4, B75, into 3. 2 people. So yeah, the story there is bluff is, I think, a good idea with the check back on the turn. Is the other question might be, do we size it small instead? I think if they if the fact that they bet that flop just really condenses their range around the queen. I don't see them betting with 9s or 10s or jacks or something, especially that size. They don't have kings. It's just a queen. So no, a small bet does not work there. If we really believe we're going to get a queen to fold, we got to go B150 more. Now, is it possible that we have showdown value? We should just check. Call? No, we're not calling. Do we just give up? What other bluffs do we have here? We're not really continuing with much else other than a bunch of busted diamond draws, but I don't know whether I think the fact that we don't have diamonds means they're more likely to have them, so they could have ace diamond draw that they bet 3/4 pot on the flop. I think that would be fair, and we certainly get folds from those. So the only, and that would be ace ones. I don't think they probably bet 3-way into with like king X diamond or jack X diamond. Unlikely. So I think in that case, maybe the ace 5 is actually really good. Anyway, those are the thoughts there. That's an interesting hand. One I think I'll almost want to stick for my group and see what they think there. So we raise, open, they re-raise, and we call. I think a lot of the time we probably want to just fold here, but then I thought, oh well, we're big blind, or we're blind versus blind, so we have a lot of folds already, and fairly connected Broadway cards. Well, connected Broadway cards are going to sometimes be okay for us. Turns out this time maybe they could be okay. We check, they check back. When they bat, we just fold. I think after the check back, maybe there's bets here. Let's have a look. Oh, you probably can't see that. Where are we here? Jack. And that was that one. Yeah, it's just a fold. So good instinct. Three. This actually is a fold. As intuition wanted, but in some crap about lots that otherwise folds, so have to defend with something. But this isn't good enough to defend with. Great. Having said all of that, maybe a turn bet, maybe. Let's say that they're suited. So we are here. Let's look at that. Here. Suited Queen Jack on the turn. Flop. Flop. Take action. Small blind. Check. Check. And then a turn of a 5. Now. Queen Jack. Nope. Checking still. What does bet? Jack 10. Jack 10 is the one that they use as a straight draw. Ace 5, those are aces, pairs, a set, 4s. We'll bet. 10-8. Fuck knows why. 10-8 suited. Looks like just the club draw of 10-8 suited. Somehow it ends up there. And we really call flat 10-8 to a 3-bet. I don't. But notice in that we continue with no offsuit cards. So this goes into the things I've talked about before of how I have to do more work on blinds versus blind work. Just because that is so starkly clear of how you just don't end up. You just don't end up here. There's no calls of offsuit cards. Very actually tight linear range to a 3-bet from the big blind. So we can be a lot wider than, or a lot narrower, a lot tighter than I thought. Right? All of that is fold, tons of folds, 65% folds. Okay, good lesson. Queen 6, super ass loose defend, 28 VPIP, so probably could use this as a raise actually, and probably should have. They're 3-bet, they're opening a little too wide, so that would have been a better play there. We get nothing. Decide to go for a raise, thinking that we are good here. Our range is so strong, not necessarily a good play. And then I give up, and then I put in a river bet. So this is a pretty blundered hand. versus kings or whatever. I just call this a blunder. Queen 6. Let's see what Mr. Solver thinks of this fancy play, Syndrome. So we call, we raise, yeah. So definitely could raise more than call. Use it as a raise. We check. We raise, and we raised exactly the right amount. So look at that. Most of the time we just fold, but every once in a while for 0.01 chips or blinds, we get to raise. That time came that day, and I did raise the right size. Not a big deal. Raised 50%. R50 is fairly standard. Then the turn, we have to follow through with our raise. We cannot chicken out. We need to bet again for 126% of the pot. And then we need to go again for a massive 300% pot. Let's just look and see how right I am in terms of this node here. So cutoff is them. So what's more important is this. So ranges are actually quite tight, but they have a slight range advantage on us. Oh no. We have a tiny nut advantage. They have a range advantage, so they're going to have lots of bets. So when they put all those bets out, over 60% bets almost, then we will have some raises, which are all kind of in this area. And actually, that combo is one of the bluffing raises, interestingly enough. All of this stuff down here gets to raise, tons and tons of stuff to raise around those, because I thought that board would be more favorable to us range-wise. Like I knew they would have more overpairs. Obviously, they have all the overpairs, but I thought that board would be slightly more favorable in our direction. So that, but I guess we're more nutted there, which is why we get to have those raises. We're not raising because the board is favorable. We're raising because we're more nutted. Right, because we have quads and full houses and trips, and they probably don't. Not that many. All right. So as it turns out, we were on the right track. We just chickened out. So here, yeah, we need to polar our ass off with half our range, including all this shite. This shite. The 6 of diamonds. These ones. Actually, the one combo that has the least amount of raises, for whatever reason. Well, it does. Or the leads, not raises, leads. That one now has a draw, I think. Yeah. That, the heart is checking. Diamond, so it's actually the right call there to do a small lead. Actually, no, a big lead. Although the EVs are pretty close. Right. Okay. Not bad. And then this river, we do a big bet. 6, whatever got there. Combos aren't there, but yeah, it's big betting with the queen 6 of spades. Okay, so, guess we don't call this a blunder after all. I guess we call this more like an inaccuracy. Once we decide to raise this combo, which is solver approved, we should continue aggression on this turn. Because that turn is better for us. And why we raised in the first place. Low friendly board. So I guess ultimately kings likely aren't going to fold, but we certainly could have gotten 9s, 8s, 7s, like a whole bunch of overpairs to fold, tons of overpairs to fold, tons of ace, king, ace, queen, all kinds of horseshit to fold. So we're on the right track. In this particular hand, we were going to end up losing our stack if we played it properly. But I guess I give myself credit for having the eye for a spot that gives us the opportunity to do this also. And because we didn't repop it pre, this is why this board actually is our friend. If we had repopped it pre, we wouldn't have been able to make that kind of play. Of course, they would. If we repopped, they would have re-hit it, and then we would be out. So the hand would never have happened in this particular trial. But turn and river bluffs are definitely there. So let's give ourselves this 125, a call, and then, yeah, and 6 keeps going. Queen 6 of diamonds. Keep on pounding, brothers. Don't be so scared. 2-7, yeah, 125 again. Good to know. Good to know. 7's open. Called from the big blind. Hit a house. Pretty sweet. Checked behind as not great for our range. Could certainly put a bet in here and then been raised and called. Probably we just have zero denial so far ahead. Only thing that beats this is a pair of 6s. So I don't think a check is terrible. We are in position though, and we do want money in the pot. So, and we have a long way to go. So in that way, probably an argument should be made that we want to put some cash into the pot, maybe a small bet. 9 comes, check again. We do put a small bet in. They call that. King on the river kills all our action. We go small again, hoping to get raised and get a fold. So I'm going to be looking at these much more because these are cherry-picked hands. So this is this one. Yes, definitely have a bet. Half pot is totally good. Although you be wise, the small bet, actually the B70, tons of bets. They're all kind of around the same size. It's actually the minority position to take. So this B34 small bet, like I thought. So small bet is what we wanted to make there. We do make our small bet again on the turn, which is fine. That's all priced properly. And then our bet on the river should just polar. but we don't need to go massive polar. We could do, well, we could actually go 300%. It's probably where we should hit with hoping that they hit a king and we call it. So let's make that note. This is okay. Flop. Let's just put a small bet in on the paired board, which we usually bet small on as it polars them, their range, BP range, and then river B65, B75. That's size I use, or super big target a rivered king. Okay. A little bit of a break. This is taking longer than I thought it would. We've done 1, 2, 3, 4. Solvebet.com. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have about 10 more to go. So then we're gonna make out through all this. Queen 8. A hand to play, but I hate all these limpy bullshit. So we're gonna raise it, make them a little bit of money in to find something. Hit middle pair. No reason to bet, I don't think. An ace. Our range is so far ahead. We're so good now. When they check, not because the ace came, but because they didn't bet it, I think we really could put some cash into this. Check, check, check. And maybe tens would call. I don't know. Maybe they wouldn't. We just winnowing ourselves down. We got kind of a weak middle third pair, so it's probably okay. It's just a really good run out on the great flop for us, let's say, and a great turn for us. So to just be so hand incentivized, I think is a bit of a mistake. We probably should have bet that range bet here, even though we're out of position. And then we certainly could continue there and likely just get a fold from the tens, but other hands will potentially call, I guess. No, actually, let's say the way to play this is we range bet the flop. We check an ace turn. They have a lot of aces. We have a lot of aces as well. We could possibly small bet it, but we get called again, and we're for sure checking the river unless another queen comes or maybe an 8. If we small bet the turn, it really does focus their hands into aces and kings and really good queens. So we're just kind of putting more money into strengthening a range that's going to end up beating us. This is one of those landing and finishing. So we land quite well as a range here, but then when we get called, this portion of our range is now quite weak, I think. And especially with this ace, but then not getting an ace, not getting a bet on the turn here, I guess strengthens up us again. Yeah. I can't actually do a review of this and the machine because he limped. So let's just call this okay. Let's say missed a flop range bet. But otherwise, I think is fine. In 6. Tisk, tisk, tisk. I keep talking about raising these things and I keep calling them. When in the big blind, these big card, little card, suited cards need to be raised. it's funny when I'm playing, I'm not thinking about that. I'm thinking, are they close enough together to actually be usable? And they aren't. Here they aren't. Like Queen 8 should be the lowest calling hand in terms of straight making hand. Queen 6 is just not a good calling hand. This should be raised all day long. Same sort of situation as before. This is our flop in a big way. We should bet. We do, but we bet too small. We get raised and then fold. So, well, actually, this small bet is probably not a bad thing because we are betting into a, in theory, polar range. Or no, we're the polar range at this point, aren't we? We've called. These are all small cards. The only hand that beats that they could open with that's even close to that is ace 4, maybe 5s. I guess they do have the other sets as well. So we have though 5-3, 5-2, 2-3. Maybe 2-3 is a little edgy. What? Sorry. They don't bet and then they raise turn. I'm an odd size raise too. So nothing. Let's look and see. Queen 6. Yep. There's that one there. Raise. Raise. Oh, wrong hand. This one. Raise. Flop. Bet. Lead. There are leads here. Quite a few. I'll bet you if we looked at this. Let's look. Flop. Right here. Big blind does not have a range advantage, but has quite a strong nut advantage. So we have a ton of leads, small bet leads. Look at that, 40%. That's a board to lead, man. Queen 6, leading all day long. All day long. So they check, and then we now have a bunch of polar on the 8. Cutoff, we're more polar. Yeah, so tons, huge sizes. But we do have these small bets as well. And the Queen 6 does have some small bets in it. Interesting, interesting. Is this going to succeed better as a small bet or as a big bet? And they're all basically indifferent. 0.9, 9.1, 8.9, they're all within the same zone of anything goes with the Queen 6. We can bet them, we can check them. It just doesn't matter. So I like the bet. Kind of feel like a small bet was maybe I don't know. I mean, we can do anything. We can go small or large. We get raised and we fold. It's pretty easy. Queen 6 is obviously a fold. Yes, this is probably good. Let's just make note again, though. Let's try and remember to raise some of the time as intentioned. Flop 40% leads. This is a great board for us. Let's see what the, so we check, assume they bet. So give them a bet, check, bet 33. What do we do? Queen 6 is... Why does it go big on this one? It's funny. Queen 6 is raising and calling. 2 overs, I guess. Funny, that's a lot of calls. Queen 5, yes. Queen 4, raise, because it's drawing to a straight. Ace 6, lots of raises, get shot. Got shot. It's all these gutty straights. That's probably why we're continuing with those, because yeah, Queen 7 is gone, except for the flush draws. Queen 8 is gone, except for the flush draws. Cool, 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 cool. We certainly don't have an equity advantage. We seem to have somewhat of a nut advantage, not really. Right, which is why our raises are only going to be 50%, so very linear. And then here, right, that's why we can lead, is because we got all of that. Already looked at that. Okay. Lead is straightforward for us, so we can lead. And if they had bet, we could raise some portion. Turn. Every size is used by solver. But I chose small because we are still OP and tending smaller. But still, we are OP. When raised, we can bail. I got really tilty after this hand because of the whole session. I was like, I opened the 3-bet, so much attacking. I just felt like I was constantly in these weird spots where I try and take some initiative and do something, and then I just run into it. And you know, anytime I get stubborn and decide to call, I end up getting my ass handed to me. Queen open, or whatever it is, king queen open. Then it's just this call, a calling caller. Flop a gut shot. Probably could have bet there. Probably should be betting there with this particular hand. We've got tons of checking hands, which is the ace kings, aces, lots of small ace checks, lots of pairs of jacks checking, lots of pairs checking. So king queen off probably needs to bet here. 5 is not our card, but I think it's blanky. I don't think it's their card either. It doesn't do much. Doesn't really change the board. They call and we bet small. 4 comes and then we check it again, which is stupid. We should be betting and get those 8s out of there. This is a boundary hand, I think. Too hesitant. It's like I'm halfway to being a good poker player by finding bluffs in the right spots, but then I just can't find my way to follow through on them, right? So we just, that's not, is that it? Oh, did we? Oh, that's right. It was a stupid ass weird raise, which is like a nothing. Yeah. So they raised like not even a full. I don't even know how you can make this raise. How do you do that? We went 228. So they call 128. So the raise is 128 over the blind, which means they call 128 times 2 is 256. So they just min raised our raise by calling off a blind or something. I don't even know how you get there, but anyway, they do this, these min raises, and the machine just has a flat out don't call any raises out of position with king queen off. Fair enough. I thought I got a price with versus Jose Feather here, 67 VPIP. What I should do is not just call it, I should 3-bet it or 4-bet it is what mistake here. So let's just make that note. There's a lot of mistakes in this. So 4-bet versus this player. Called as price was so good, but why? Flop, we can c-bet this board as we check a lot of other value and need balance for the hands we bet. Turn, fine bet, but fine bet, and then river, need a polar follow through. No, what did we end up with? Point in single barrel bluffs. I guess I'm sitting there thinking he's got an ace though. So maybe it's okay in the end. Yeah, maybe it's okay. Accuracy, let's keep it there. I don't want to talk about it anymore. Re-raise, get called. Check it. They check. 9. We check again. They polar bet. We call. 3 comes. They check it, and they have, that's that same guy. Jack 8. We win? Oh, we won. So I think somewhere in there we should have been raising. I'm gonna say probably even leading the flop. I bet you that is sweet ass goodness for us. No, actually, no, it's not going to be good for us. So a check there is probably fine. Blink. There's some. Quite a bit. Polar bet too. We raise. Oh yeah, we raise. So we're the pre-flop aggressor. So even though the equity isn't so great for us, we definitely have some polar bets here. Jack 10 is a little bit part of them. 84. No. 37. Yeah. So Jack 10 looks like it's not necessarily being used. It's got some in there, but not a ton EV wise. Check, check, and then the turn comes in 9. What do we do there? Again, we're polar bearing. No, we actually don't have a polar advantage. Probably because that's why we check so much. It's hardly any. It's just pieces that do want to bet. Most of it's checks. They bet. So this is where we probably just bail, right? Jack 10 suited is going to fold. Jack 10 of, it raises. It raises. Jack 10 that gets here is all raising all day long. Yeah, no call, no call, no call, no call. So we fucked that up. We really need to raise that combo, blow them out of the pot. I was like, B50. We really want to raise a B50, but yes, we do. Accuracy, earn. We need to check raise here with this combo. We are very polar, and they have a lot of range bets in BIP. I think that's what they're doing. Bay 50, yeah. So tons of bets, 20s, no big bets, very condensed range, very condensed. So use this combo to bluff raise. Fucked up. And then the river, we call. We're not going to get there with anything to use. Right there. Check 10 doesn't exist. Oh, wait, bet call. River. Look at all that. And there's check 10s. All in. All in. That one. Ton of EV in that all in. Once we get to river, we should shove. It's right now, right? Yeah. Billion over cards. Ton of little pairs. Shove it. Block a straight. Just gut shot to the straight. One day we'll be good at this game. Raise, called, hit nothing, range bet. They call. Got shotty, should bet again, did, polared, get called again. They check. Do we go for the last barrel? What are the best bluffs? Probably bluffs that block a king. So the ace blocks ace king a little bit. They don't have ace king because they didn't re-raise. They have ace queen, king queen. So any queen, the king queens. Queen 10, no, queen 9. What are we three betting? What are we three? Queen jack suited. 9-8 suited. Blocking kings. They've called twice. What possibly is the better bluffs there? Something that I think interacts with the broadways, I think. I think because we're using the bottom end here. The only thing that could be there is queen 9, but we beat it. How favorable is this for us, this run out? We raised. We're kind of in an unfavorable world. So I think our bluffs actually are reduced, particularly as they've condensed so strongly. So I'm now thinking it's probably not a bet there. Let's see. Ace 2. All my aces, I do have an ace hand that I fucking bundled the shit out of. This is the one there. Is it? Yeah. So we fucked it up somehow. Turn 5. Yeah, so polaring is good. Ace 2. Generally okay. Okay, it's okay to have bet that as aggressively as we did. And they called again, and then the question is, do we do one more with the ace 2? Doesn't look like it. No, it does. Small bet. Did it not like size? Oh, I didn't like the turn because the car's no good for our range. So we're fine on the flop. Of course, that's a given. There's no question there. But using the 5 card as the idea of it being favorable to us, even though we did pick up a draw. We picked up a gut shot. What does bluff then? People here. So it's funny, the machine, the analyzer says no go, but the library says maybe. I guess not really. But no, it does sort of. I mean, it's indifferent. It's indifferent to bluff, check, bluff. What are we? Spade. Yeah. So, we can either check it or we can bet it. Yes, it's a little bit 0.03 better to just check, but it's not too picky. What is the bottom of our bluffing range here? Here, these ones. Ace 5, so pair of 5s. Ace 6, Ace 7. All of those are better than the Ace 2. Ace 9. 3s and 2s. It's not a set. Nope. 5. 6s are a better bluff. I just like almost value. It's funny, that just seems so gross. Why would you not want to use that shitty ace high hand? It folds from a whole bunch of worse or better ace highs. Tons of better aces are folding to this. Instead we use 6s. If we bet 75, do they call? What are they calling with? Oh, they have no. All right. Tons of kings, of course. Bunch of 10s, of course. Kings and 10s, basically. So we can get, folds from ace jacks, bunch of ace jacks, get folds from ace queens, ace 4, ace 4, get folds from 7 6s, like all of these 9s. I don't know. Seems weird not to bet with that one. It's not often I say the machine's wrong, but so it didn't even work. So if they call river, so we'd take action here, and the best bluffs are stuff kind of around the queen 9, queen 8, yeah, stuff that's blocking a king, as I thought. Stuff that's blocking a king and a 10. So all that, those are the better bluffs. Okay. So pretty well, actually not bad. Solver doesn't like using this combo as a bluff, but I don't know why. Because we get folds from a lot of better aces, loot of better aces, ace X, and a bunch of pocket pairs, small to medium DPs. So, and then river fine not to use, want combos that block king X and 10X. So we're good there. All right. I think what I'm going to do is, let's see, oh, we're pretty close to the end, but I want to show this one stupid hand I played, which was, I know the solver is going to say that I was the biggest idiot on earth. This is a good lesson in kind of panic, I guess. So we have aces, we raise them, as one tends to do. We get called, we hit a set, we check, as one does when one is so strong. We do have bets, a small bet, but we are going to check a lot of the time with a bunch of smaller aces and a bunch of other kings and queens and all kinds of shit, right? So we got to protect the big hands with these aces. They bet, and we call. We can certainly raise. There's 0.1 blind better EV in calling, but we will keep them in the hand and keep the draws in and keep the jack 10, 9 10s and all that kind of stuff in. Jack comes. What does a jack do? It makes a straight. What are the chances they have 10 9? What indeed are the chances? The chances are high, as it turns out. We check again. They do bet 50. We could call or raise. We chose a kind of a small raise, which was a little ridiculous. We could do a bigger raise, 150. We're so nutted, aren't we? They raise again. What we don't want to do is go all in. We still have a lot of value when we call because they could be doing this with a lot of draws. They could be doing this with a lot of, ace-axy hands, two pairs, like jack eights, jack sevens, ace jack. Shitload of cards do better by being called and letting them blast off on the river, which turned out to be a queen, which actually would have blue, and a 3 because we ran it twice. And we just, like, by shoving, we just isolate them down to having 10-9. And this whole story is this thing that I'm struggling with in poker where I feel like there's something going on, and this is like in the magic-y kind of bullshit, but where my action does dictate to a certain extent how the hand is going to play out. So when I do that crazy shit, I get like transported into the universe where they have 10-9. Whereas if I just called, I keep the universes where they have flush draws and two pairs kind of in play. But by doing this kind of shovey, if I call here, they have a less than a pot behind, so we're gonna call. Like, what do we like? Say if we go look at this hand, and that queen does come on the river, so they make a flush. So we say where are we here? We turn there, they bet, we raise, they re-raise, and we go all in. Instead of going all in, we just call, and then the queen comes on the river, and it's like, there's just no combos here even, right? There's 2.2 combos. Because why? Where did they get filtered down? Here, raise, re-raise, that's straight. It's basically the only things that are re-raising. They got to have some bluffs, but what are they? Combo draws. That one, nothing. Right, they didn't size their raise properly. But you can see there's no combos even in this line. If anybody, they should have called, because we're being the dummies by raising into their polar hand. But they're panicking that we have a flush draw as well. So, but all of that said, we call, and then who's got the first action? Is it me? Yeah, because I was check raising, right? Yeah. So we are going to check, say, and then what do? They go all in. They go all in, and then what are we going to do? Fold? We don't have any aces there. And the one set of aces we do have do fold on the queen. So the fact that did they actually don't go all in, so they do a small bet. Then do we call? No, we still fold. Even do a small bet. The straight beats us. The only things that are betting here are straights and flushes. So the better strategy might be, say, they bet 50 and we do what? Mostly call. Some raises when we're not blocking a flush draw. Are we blocking a flush draw? We're not. So those combos do raise, ace queen or ace club, but it raises a much, much bigger, would have ended up getting snapped off. I guess that's where the shit went wrong in me using that size, this sort of weird linear raise size. A baby size. Should just go 100, R100, or R150. That's better anyways. So let's make a note. Oh, I don't have that hand in here. Anyway, the point of all of this is more than anything, for sure the raise is fine, but then there's no point in re-raising here. Like, we call, of course we call, but there's no raises there. And this raise, re-raise, re-raise is kind of this ridiculous one-upmanship, and they get better and better and better, and we don't, essentially. We're just diminishing. Each time we raise and then they raise, the value of our hand is diminished significantly. Got to keep this in mind. And what happens is somewhere along the line, I got this lesson put into my head of like, there's only a pot behind, might as well put it all in. Like, I know that's not the lesson, but that's the action that I took from when we get to SPR minus less than 1. Just, we're going in anyways kind of thing. Like, we're never folding, et cetera, et cetera. And since we're never folding, we might as well just put it in. Like, that lesson is bad because by putting it in, we then completely cut out all the other things, all the other bluffs and all the worse hands that could potentially shove us in, but won't call when we go all in, because we just, it's clear, right? Like, obviously I think it's very clear what I'm talking about. So that was my blunder hand of the day. And an action that I did a lot when I was sort of pre-training, double down on my study poker, much more aggressive, came up in the limit play. Limit play is just bet, 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 bet until somebody, basically tells you to stop betting by re-raising. That aggression, I think I've, for the most part, gotten out of my game, but today it reared its ugly head with this sort of tilty frustration of I just hit a set of aces. Most of the time my aces just get folded to. I'm getting smoked by all kinds of BS hands. Like last night I had ace king, flop was 10-10 ace. I bet small, guy calls, turn was a 10. I bet small again, he calls. River was a 5. I bet like 3/4 pot. He goes B150, let's say, and I call and he has a 10, right? Like 10-7. I'm pretty sure it was suited, but who the fuck knows? It's that kind of stuff of like, they can play that and they get my money, but why, when I play that crap, do I just end up failing Or why, when I play my Mr. Discipline poker, like my aces, and play it nice and slow and, you know, don't get crazy, and I still get sucked out on. So, yeah. Anyway, I'm being a bit of a victim here, but it's a victim of my own making. And yeah, that's all I'm going to review because I'm tired now. And what is this hand? Queen. We squeeze. Get 3 callers. Hit a set. Lead. Get called. Flush comes. We check. They check. We should bet. No, we check. And they go half pot. And we're calling, of course, even though straight's there, flush is there. Same deal, right? Like we hit this beautiful flop set and it just gets worse and worse. Every card that came after just made that hand worse and worse. They were betting King 10. So I'm not the only bad player around, obviously. But I guess they saw that as a bluff, maybe. I'm not sure what they saw that as. I guess they have, hey, we block a straight and we block a set and we block a flush. Something like that. So, okay, fine, good hand. After all my bitching, finally we find a good hand. I still wonder, yeah, I guess, so they check the flush and then a straight comes in, so that river check is fine too. All right, say good to that. All right, I'm done. Bye.